Hello to all of you from around the world. I want to welcome you back to another great edition of Soulivity. Today, we're broadcasting live from our studio right here in the nation's capital, Washington, D.C., and on KMET 1490 AM radio in Southern California. Come on, you know me. I'm Brian Westley Johnson, CEO and publisher here at Soulivity.com. And whether you're at home or driving or at work, we're always glad you're here with us. We have another phenomenal show. I can't wait to get to it, but I have to let you know about my wonderful co-host, Sheila Applegate, who is the host of Consciously Awesome Living, which airs at 12 noon here on Wednesdays, right on Soulivity TV. Hello, Sheila. How are you?
Hi, Brian. I'm doing well today. How about you?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I'm really looking forward to today's show. I mean, you and I have been talking about this for a hot minute, and um, and I'm, it's one of those things that again I think people don't talk about a lot, and so I'm glad we're talking about it today. And I guess people are going to be asking like, what? Well, what is that? What are you going to be talking about? Well, we're going to get to that in just a second. What have you been up to? I mean, we had a great show yesterday with
We
Helena
did.
on, yeah, it was so good on New Year's resolutions, um, or we should say New Year's intentions now, because after the show, we want to make sure that people are affirming. That was so good.
Yeah, I like that. It's always fun when Helena's with us.
Absolutely.
Joyful.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Um, well, why don't we jump right in, because we've got a lot to talk about and I want to make sure that we have plenty of time to do it. Sheila, around the Northern Hemisphere, tomorrow is a special day. And though many places have been colder, some even having snow on the ground, December 21st is the official beginning of the winter season, or what we call winter solstice. But what exactly is it? And what makes this time of year significant for many cultures? Um, Sheila, I know that the winter solstice is one of those important times for you. Um, what makes this time so important in terms of, your experience of it?
So, for one thing, it's the beginning. It'll be tonight will be the longest night of the year. And then we start getting more light every day, right? So our days
Right.
start to get longer again, leading up to summer. So, um, for anyone who has seasonal depression, that's exciting right there. There's hope in the
Right.
air, right?
Right.
um, and so maybe that's one thing. It's also very symbolic of the dance between the dark and the light coming in to awaken us from the darkness. So personally also, and I've mentioned it before, but that's the anniversary of when my friends died on Panem 103. So that dichotomy of the darkest day and the lightest day dancing together has always been very symbolic of me. And I think as the years go on, as I honor nature more, I see the significance in taking the time to celebrate that. How about
Right.
you?
Right. Well, having been in Detroit and that kind of thing, um, it's always been kind of, I'll say, laughable because of the fact that it's, the beginning of winter. Typically in Detroit, we've already got snow on the ground. So it's
Right.
always been like, oh, okay. Now we're just starting winter. And so there's been this kind of grumble kind of thing to it. And so but what I've learned later on is, some of the connections to some of the ancient cultures that are part of that area. And I was like, wow, this is actually kind of cool. And it's kind of like why over the years, I've come to kind of appreciate more that, change is always inevitable. And it's actually good. It makes it good, and that we can embrace it and embrace all these different aspects of our environment, our life experience, And there's no such thing as quote unquote a bad experience per se, right? We have experiences, we have opportunities for growth, and when we embrace them, we can can have a real impact on our beingness. And so, yeah, that's kind of where I am now. Still, if it gets into the dog days of winter, I still have to kind of process that. It's a little bit challenging after being in winter for like 30 something years. But I have a greater appreciation for what it means holistically. So that's where I'm at right now.
There we go.
For those of you who may not know what winter solstice is, we got a little help from our friends over at USA Today that put together a great little video to tell you what it is.
Freezing temperatures and snow piles are usually a good indicator that winter is coming, but the official start of the season is actually known as winter solstice. But what exactly is winter solstice? The winter solstice is the shortest day of the year, and it signifies the point in which the northern hemisphere is tilted farthest from the sun. After the solstice, days begin to grow longer, offering more and more sunlight until the summer solstice, which is when the southern hemisphere is tilted closest towards the sun. And the winter solstice doesn't always land on the same day. In the northern hemisphere, the day falls on December 21st, as it will be in 2023. In the southern hemisphere, it's recognized as either June 21st or June 22nd. Historically, the winter solstice is treated as a celebration in different cultures, signifying a time of renewal and new beginnings. But for me, it means that it's usually time to bundle up.
I love it. I love it. I love it. I love it. So let's talk a little bit about the winter solstice and its meaning. Sheila, I found this great article in PBS, which is our public news station here in the United States. It talks a little bit about how some how the celebrations of the winter solstice go back into ancient times. They have a lot to do here in North America about our First Nation people, our indigenous. There's other ones that we'll talk about in the next segment that go into more depth about these different celebrations around the world. But check this out really quickly. In the PBS NewsHour on PBS, they did this story on the winter solstice, and University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign scholar Rosalind Lapierre, who is an indigenous writer, ethnobotanist, and environmental historian, was talking to them about the ancient astronomy part of this, right? And she says, many Americans picturing winter solstice celebrations may immediately think of Stonehenge, of course. But cultures have honored the solstice much closer to home, where many Native American communities have long held solstice ceremonies. She says, for decades, scholars have studied the astronomical observations that ancient indigenous people made and sought to understand their meaning. She said some societies in North America express this knowledge through construction at special sites, such as the Cahokia in Illinois, temple and pyramids and mounds, similar to those to the Aztecs, right? Which align with the sun on solstice days. She said, although some winter solstice traditions have changed over time, they are still a reminder of indigenous people's understanding of the intricate workings of the solar system and their ancient understanding of the interconnectedness of the world. How freaking cool is that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Right?
When you mentioned Stonehenge, I was taken back there because I had the honor of being there, not for a solstice, but for a sunrise right in the center of Stonehenge. And
Wow.
there's so much power and energy in that. And there is, what this means is it tells us that humans have understood the connection to nature since the beginning,
Yeah.
and the sacredness of it, and the mysticism of it. And then it's really important, I think, to understand that it is the winter solstice celebrations, and whatever their traditions and names were, that are the foundation of why we celebrate Christmas at this time, and Hanukkah,
Yeah.
and
Right.
Kwanzaa. Like, it all, you know, when the church took over for that tradition, when the church took over, they couldn't stop the people from celebrating what they call the pagan celebration, because it's in them, it's natural. So they just hid them into the traditions and called it
R-
Christmas. It's so
Right.
crazy. And I think if we it doesn't mean you can't have the sacredness of the tradition of Christmas, say, or Hanukkah, or any of those, but when you go past the story, we are all connected, and we can take an even deeper meaning from that when we reconnect ourselves to what is the natural essence of the dance of light and dark, I think.
I'm so glad that you said that, because um the indigenous people here in North America were already celebrating winter solstice, and there was a discovery made by Ruben Mendoza. I don't know if you know this. This is an archaeologist at the California State University, Monterey Bay, and it made this accidental discovery years ago at a mission church there in California. So check this out. Now, keep in mind what you just said. In
Mm-hmm.
this worship space and many others that the Catholic missionaries built during the Spanish colonial period, the winter solstice triggers an extraordinary, rare, and fascinating event. A sunbeam enters each of these churches and bathes an important religious object, altar, crucifix, or
Mm-hmm.
saint statues in the brilliant light. And then he went on and said that these events offer insights into archaeology, cosmology, and Spanish colonial history. And as our own December holidays approach, they demonstrate the power of the instincts to guide us through the darkness toward the light. And so they built these things in reverence to exactly what you're talking about, right? Because in part, they were trying to convert the indigenous people
Right.
over into Catholicism. And so they needed to acknowledge it, right? They needed to acknowledge that, well, we can't change this. We got to acknowledge this. So how can we acknowledge it in a way that, welcomes them into what we're trying to teach? And so I thought that was pretty cool. So I'm glad that you said that. I'm so glad you said
Yeah.
that.
As you were speaking, I'm like, another word for that would be stealing it. Not that we can't share with everyone, but I'm glad you're giving credit to where it really comes from.
I mean, because they weren't doing, I don't think that they were doing that. And again, we're going to be talking about some different ways that winter solstice was celebrated around the world. I don't think that they would have been thinking about it that way here in North America, unless the indigenous were already doing it. So listen, everybody.
Right, exactly.
We're gonna take a break. We've got more on welcoming the winter solstice coming up, where we're going to be talking about some ways that different cultures around the world are celebrating it, even dating back to ancient times, like in Rome and other places. So stay tuned, and we'll be back in 2 minutes. Hi there, this is Brian with Soulivity.com. I want to share some exciting news about our new Aspire Academy by Soulivity. Now, you probably want to know what the Aspire Academy by Soulivity is. Well, it exclusively connects you with people around the globe and who share the intense desire to improve themselves and create a better life for themselves today. There's classes, there's workshops, there's live events, and even more exclusively just for you. You see, I wanted you to have a safe space where you could grow, you can learn, and it would empower you in all aspects of your life, including your mind, your body, and your soul. So, how do you get started? Well, it is so easy. First of all, the best part, joining Aspire Academy is absolutely free. Just click on the Join Now button, sign up, and begin your journey. As a special part of this invitation to you, there are some free courses that are available for you to try from our amazing roster of coaches and collaborators. It's our way of saying thank you for all of your support and being with us along our journey of expansion. I hope you enjoyed the Aspire Academy by Soulivity today. Start the process. Learn more about your passion, your purpose, and how to live a higher quality life. Hey, welcome back to Soulivity Today. We are talking about the winter solstice, its significance, and what we can learn from cultural rituals and ceremonies that celebrate it. Of course, back with us is our wonderful co-host, Sheila Applegate. Sheila, we were just kind of talking about the way that here in North America, specifically here in the United States, our First Nation people really had a connection to the winter solstice, and how that influenced immigrants that came here, and well, we should say also colonizers from different places around the world, how it influenced their own traditions when it came to the winter solstice, or even celebrating it, generally speaking. I know you're going to love what I'm about to do because, I know you're a wonderful student of history. I've found some great examples of where winter solstice is celebrated in other parts of the world. And so I want to kind of go through that with you guys really quickly, and then we can kind of talk about each one of these on the other side. The St. Lucia Day is a festival of lights celebrated in Scandinavia. There's a picture of it that we're showing here that's more of a recent. And it's around the time of the winter solstice. And although it is now meant to honor St. Lucia, a Christian martyr, it has also been incorporated with earlier Norse solstice traditions, such as lighting fires to ward off spirits during the longest night. Girls dress up in white gowns, as you see here, with red sashes, and wear wreaths of candles on their heads to honor St. Lucia. How cool is that, huh? Mm-hmm. There's another really cool one that I think people don't really think about, but it actually happens. And this is, even in Antarctica, celebrates solstice, right? Thanks to the researchers staying there over the long, dangerous cold season. While those of us in the Northern Hemisphere are enjoying the most daylight hours, in the Southern Hemisphere, they're celebrating midwinter. You can see them all like with their hands up and all that kind of stuff at the South Pole. Festivities include special meals, films, and sometimes even handmade gifts. So, hey, y'all down there, in Antarctica. Here's something that comes from the ancient days of Rome. The ancient Roman festival of Saturnalia is perhaps the most closely linked with the modern celebration of Christmas, as you were saying, Sheila. This festival happened around the time of the winter solstice and celebrated the end of the planting season. There were games and feasts and gift giving for several days, and social order was inverted. Slaves did not work and were briefly treated as equals. Wow. The next one comes from Persia, where the Persian festival of Yalda, or Sabi Yalda, is a celebration of the winter solstice in Iran that started in ancient times. It marks the last day of the Persian month of Azar. Yada is viewed traditionally as the celebration of light over dark and the birthday of the sun god Mithra. Families celebrate together with their special foods like nuts and pomegranates, and some stay awake all night long to welcome the morning sun. And then our last is another an indigenous celebration. It's Soyal. And it's the winter solstice celebration of the Hopi Indians of northern Arizona. Ceremonies and rituals include purification, dancing, and sometimes gift giving. At the time of solstice, Hopi welcome the Kachanias, protective spirits from the mountains. Prayer sticks are crafted and used for various blessings and other rituals. And you can see them dancing in the morning sun. I love that photo. Love that photo, Sheila.
Yeah.
So yeah. So there's a lot of traditions around the world that are celebrating winter solstice. And again, my own as you asked me before, my own education of all these things kind of changed my mind, where instead of like being ho-hum about the beginning of winter, I'm a little more excited. A little bit more excited about it. As you see these kind of things, what do you think about all this?
Well, I feel like, it's essential, it's symbolic, but it's also mental health too, right? There's a
Yeah,
lot of practical things in it. So I live
yeah.
on the land that is indigenous to the Haudenosaunee, as we talked about before. They have midwinter ceremonies, which
Okay.
has to do with the sun and the moon and astrology. When it is, it's not necessarily on the solstice day, but that's I think 10-day long ceremony where they
Wow.
are, they have their sacred dancing, the reading of some of their, but not reading, but reciting of some of their traditions. They play games. They have outside
Oh,
winter games
wow.
that they play. And I feel like that's part of it too. It's to bring that joy into a season that you could feel, disconnected and there isn't a lot to do. So this is a way of sort of infusing us too with more energy and joy during this time.
And again, we're going to be talking about, in the next segment about how do we create our own kind of personal ritual and tradition around solstice, both summer and winter. Um,
Hmm.
I noticed that when I'm in Europe, their experience of these months are completely different than the ones that we celebrate here in the United States. What do I mean by that? Well, it gets colder here and that kind of thing. And most of the time, Americans want to be indoors. They're indoors, right? In Europe, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, they have, you'll see the outdoor cafes. They stay open all year round. They just put some heaters outside and people just kind of bundle up, but they enjoy the outdoors, even though the seasons are changing, even though it's a little colder and that kind of thing. And I can't help but believe that that's in part due to some of the traditions of embracing the change that happens in our environment.
Hmm.
I can't help but believe that. And so maybe that's something that we in the West, in this part of the West, need to think more about, because I think that's pretty cool.
Hmm. Yeah. I think we do need to be outside. I think that's part of what we need to do to take care of ourselves, all year
Yeah,
long.
absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. Well, I know you have some great ideas about how we can create our own personal kind of rituals and traditions during this time of year. So listen, we're going to take a quick break, everybody, and we've got more of Soulivity today as we celebrate and welcome winter solstice. So we'll be back in a couple minutes.
Do you see me kneeling on this dual roller called Parasetter? It's actually comfortable because of this channel and the softness of the special foam. It feels like my kneecaps are being massaged. When I lie down, my spine is housed in this channel, while the convex rollers massage my muscles. They let go and lengthen. There's a traction effect from my head on the headrest and my mid-back from the rib wrap, which hugs me. When I start the breathing sequence, I feel calm because my cortisol levels are dropping. Lower cortisol means bye-bye constant hunger. Parasetter is 40 inches long and much more comfortable than old-style rollers, but it weighs only 10 ounces. Parasetter, just like Pilates was, is no longer an insider secret. Do yourself a favor. Reset your parasympathetic nervous system. Defeat stress. Lying, sitting, kneeling, or standing. This unique patented roller helps everyone.
Six years ago, when I started Soulivity, my vision was to support everyone in improving their life through the discovery of their passion and purpose, so they could become the best version of themselves, to battle fear and ignorance, and create a better world today. Get inspired to live your passion and purpose. Visit Soulivity.com now.
Hey there, we're back here with more on Soulivity today. We're talking about the winter solstice and its significance and what we can learn from different cultures from around the world who celebrate it. Of course, back with us is my lovely co-host, Sheila Applegate. Sheila, you know, you've kind of talked about before around how this time of year is a special time of year. I mean, you live in a wonderful First Nation community with the Haudenosaunee, and they like I've got to come there one time and check out this 10-day celebration because that sounds like a nice party to be at.
Well, it's not really open to the public, but we can.
Ever hear wedding crashers?
That...
This will be winter solstice celebration crashers. But I mean, the spirit and the energy is there, and it kind of shifts you
Right.
out of what I experienced as a kid, like, oh, winter, you know, into, oh, it's winter solstice, kind of like, you know, and it's just a change. It's not bad. We can embrace it. And so do you have like something that you've created as your own kind of personal or family way that you celebrate this time of year?
Well, you know, I think for us growing up in the tradition of Christmas and those celebrations, they can be blended together, right? And maybe some of it is definitely just Christmas, and we can honor that Christmas is part of the solstice celebration,
Right.
or Hanukkah with the lights and the candles each night. So it's a combination that we do, and then we also, I think the important thing is to remember that ceremony and ritual is sacred, and it's something that it's
Yeah.
not evil. It's not evil if this group does it, and divine if this group does it. It's what it
Right.
means to you, and it's how
Yeah.
you draw from it. So I
Yeah.
think as we are becoming more one in this world through the internet and consciousness and all different aspects of it, it's okay not to appropriate somebody else's tradition, but to see what you like and honor and respect where it comes from, and then draw it into your own. So as we were
Right.
talking today, you know, explore different things. And if you're in a family with children or partnership, go in together and say, what would be unique to us? You know, in most traditions, there is food involved, special food. I think
Oh yeah.
more and more Americans are not making their own food on a regular basis, right? So taking time to go back to those ingredients that are simple and to create food together, the very act of
Mm,
creating food together, infusing it with intention, infusing it with love, having joyful music on as you do it, that is a ritual in itself. Eating, not just to eat and
wow.
consume, but as a ritual of celebrating with each other and honoring and giving thanks. Fires are always very sacred. And even if it's snowy outside, you can do a fire outside just like you did in the summer, you know,
Right.
just bundle
Right.
up and the
Exactly.
fire heats you, right? So, you know, often people put intentions into the fire, you know, whether you know, some traditions put tobacco in with their prayers, others
Right.
write it on a piece of paper or just set your intentions, and that smoke takes it up into the
Right.
creator, into oneness, and helps to share that so that you can um, surrender it and receive. You can also do the other side of it where you put into the fire what you want to let go of, those things that aren't helping you
Yeah.
anymore. You know, you can
Yeah.
maybe do that first and then follow that with what you do want. Gratitude circles where you just go around and share gratitude and take time to notice that.
Right.
um
Right.
Dancing is so important. Dancing, you know,
Ooh.
dancing for fun, not to do it exactly right, not to perform and not to have exercise. All of that is there, but just play with it. And you said, you
Y-
know, as a child you were sick of snow, but what about the sledding and the
Yeah.
snowmen? Like, you can still go make sculptures. You know, maybe it is a snowman, maybe now you're making a sculpture in the snow. You know,
Right.
I feel like the more you get into nature, and that's why I mean, even Christmas trees being brought into the house represent
Yeah.
old traditions of bringing a tree in, or a Yule log, which used to be an entire tree. They would just burn for
Right.
weeks and, you know, and
Right.
like just keep pushing it towards the fire. Like, we need to be in nature. We need to be
Yeah.
connected to nature in order to keep our inside joy alive. It's who we are.
Ooh. I love this aspect of us doing things that maintain our connection with each other and our world, right?
Mhm.
Um, and that our world, it's like, because again, I think we get conditioned that when it's raining outside or when it's cold outside or that kind of thing, that we're supposed to come inside. And I think some of that has to do mainly with maybe some of the capitalization of our society, where why go outside and do stuff for free? Come inside and do the stuff that you need to pay for, right? Watching cable TV, which is all great, going to movies and all that kind of stuff, which is all great too. But there's another side of our existence which is available to everyone at any time, at any hour of the day, and that is to enjoy or get out in nature and enjoy it. And I have to admit, you know, the whole hums of winter came after I had like done the sledding and done all that kind of stuff.
Mhm.
But I think that if my parents at that time also would have set kind of the example, and they set great examples, but even going further into this, saying, you know, oh, we're going to continue to, you know, doing hikes and stuff like that,
Mhm.
and seeing animals and how they're adapting to nature and all this kind of stuff. I think that that would have been, you know, when it got to be like January or something like that, where you're going into the quote unquote dog days of winter, that would have been even more enjoyable, right? Where it's like, oh, well,
Mhm.
this is just different. It's not bad. It's not that, oh, well, we're just going to wait, that I only want to wait for spring and summer. It's like, well, I can enjoy winter too. And this is how we do it, and really have a reverence for it.
Right.
So thank you for that. Thank you for that, Sheila. That, you know, changing my mind around some of this stuff.
That's what we do.
It's funny. Listen, we're going to take another quick break, and we're going to acknowledge, Sheila and I are going to acknowledge the fact that some of you out there, that when it's during these times, especially during the holidays and the new year, and the days are shorter and that kind of thing, that some of you may be struggling with feeling the emotion of being depressed. And so we're going to come back and we're going to give you some tips that are in alignment with everything that we just talked about around the winter solstice that could help you move into feeling more alive and feeling more energized as you move through this time of year. So we're going to take a really quick break, and we'll be back with more of Soulivity today in just a second. Find all of the Satana products at our Go shop at go.soulivity.com.
Have you ever asked the question, if I was to be anything, what would I be? Regardless of money, regardless of status, beyond popularity and fame. Living your passion, feeling your life has purpose. Soulivity is a space to nurture that which lives in all of us. A place where work can become play, and doing what we love creates the dreams of a lifetime.
Hi there, and welcome back to Soulivity today. So glad that you're here with us. We are talking about the winter solstice and its significance and what we all can learn from different cultural rituals and ceremonies from around the world that celebrate moving out of the darkness and into the light, quote unquote. And back with me is my wonderful co-host, Sheila Applegate. Sheila, one aspect of I think that doesn't get talked about enough is that seasonally people do go through bouts of depression. And this is especially true during this time of year, where the number of hours that sunlight is out decreases dramatically, and it'll start growing again after the winter solstice. But for a lot of people, that can bring upon feelings and kinds of things of, like I said before, of being depressed and sad and that kind of thing. What are some of the ways that I know that maybe in the past, when you were doing when you were a mental health practitioner, specifically with social work, and even today, where maybe you're helping coaching people through manifesting their best life, maybe this kind of pops up. What are some of the things that you say to them around this? What are some of the tips that you give those people?
Right. Yeah, Brian, I think this is so important because we are talking about the solstice bringing light in and helping us bring some joy into the mid-season. But
Yeah.
clinical, seasonal depression is definitely a thing, and it's going to affect
Yeah.
all of us in some way, because without sunlight, we don't have enough vitamin D. So number one thing, make sure you are taking vitamin D during the winter months around you when the days are shorter. even if you have sunshine during the day, you may not see it if depending on where you
Right.
work, and if you're, because you're going into work in the dark and you're coming home in the dark. So make sure you can get yourself into sunshine whenever possible. And if that means, walking outside and taking a 15-minute break because the sun just
Yeah.
came out, go do it whenever
Right.
you can.
Right.
Um, I think sleep is still important. Like, we are part of nature, so we're going to want to sleep more in the winter.
Or
And
right.
no longer honor the cycles of the season. I think we sometimes go into the season thinking that we should be doing the things exactly like we do in summer when we're not productive. But we need
Right.
to honor that we are in a natural cycle. There is a turning inward. It is more time for introspection, which means some of the things that you didn't feel before might come up, and that's okay. Sleeping
Yeah.
for longer is okay. And if you
Mm.
don't push against that, you'll get in a natural rhythm, especially when you're filling in other things during the day. Make sure you're going out and doing things with friends. We talked about nature. Nature is so
Oh,
important.
yeah.
Go into
Yeah.
nature, bring your bird feeders up close to the winter or window so you can see the birds and the life outside, but also go be with your friends, even if it's just going to somebody else's house. You need that time of celebration, camaraderie, just laughter, right, in
Hmm.
your day. And then, of course, there are happy lights. Have you heard of a happy light, Brian? There's
No,
those.
what's a happy light?
Yeah, I think that's even a brand name, but you can get a light that you can sit in front of for 15 minutes a day, put it on your desk, and it gives you the UV light.
Oh.
So you need that, you
Oh.
get the sunlight because you're being deprived of it. So just having
Right.
that in your space and spending 15, I think that they give you instructions on how
Right.
to use it and how much, but that can make a huge difference.
Right.
Um,
Right.
and meditation, right? If you go into a guided meditation or you go in deep into your meditation, not only are you getting light, because you're pulling light into your body, but you can also go on an adventure anywhere. You can have a beach retreat, you can go swimming, you
Right.
can do right. And swimming, just in saying swimming, like, find an indoor pool that you can go to if swimming is something you usually do in the summer. Just get
Right.
creative with that.
Right.
And then
Right.
and in medicine is also okay. Medicine
Right.
is made from nature. Science is part of oneness. I kind of used to have a thought, even when I was in the mental health, that some people needed, medication, but it was better
Hmm.
not to have medication. And as I moved through the energy healing, I don't agree with that anymore. I have a better understanding of science and
Right.
how those integrate
Right.
and our brain chemistry. And um because my one of my treatments for my migraines is a medicine that's also used for depression, I now have firsthand experience. It didn't change my personality, it didn't suppress my emotions. For me, it just let my headaches go away. But
Right. Right. Right.
if it was depression, it would probably just release that a little bit. So don't be afraid of anything that can help you, and be active and trying to find out what those are.
Wow, that's fantastic. Just want to remind people that if you or a loved one is experiencing more severe symptoms of depression, reach out to organizations like NAMI, the National Association of Mental Illness.org. That's NAMI.org. Or reach out to their crisis line that's on their website as well. I guess one of the most important things, and Sheila, you just said this earlier. Number one, you're not alone. You're just not alone
Hmm.
in this, and that there's tons of resources, there's tons of support to help you and your loved one, because a lot of times it's more than one person experiencing what could be mental illness during this time of year. And so get the support that you need. and visit NAMI. That's NAMI.org today when you need some extra support. And so, thank you for that, Sheila. Those are great ideas. I like that. Go to a swimming pool in the winter.
Right?
There's one
Or,
right
I
around the
mean, if you
corner.
can take a vacation to a beach, go
Right,
do
right,
that too.
right, or do both.
Exactly.
Listen, we're going to take a quick break. We've got more of Soulivity Today coming up in just a second. So stick by right here on Soulivity Today, and we'll be right back.
Hi there, Sheila Applegate here with some exciting news. I've joined the incredible Soulivity team as the host of the new Consciously Awesome live show, where I will be sharing insights to help you discover your full brilliance and claim the vibrant life you deserve. So tune in every Wednesday right here on Soulivity TV to join the fun, and remember to subscribe to the channel so that you don't miss a single episode. Have an awesome week, and I will see you on Wednesday.
And we're back with more of Soulivity Today. Let's get to some shameless plugs, Sheila. We got a lot of stuff going on. In fact, today there's something special that we always like to talk about that's happening just in a few hours, and that is our next Joy Keepers Cafe. Joy. Sheila, you're doing another great meditation that's part of this. Can you tell people about what to expect today during this absolutely free event? It's free, people. So go check it out.
Yeah, just reserve your seat. You only have to reserve it once, and then you'll get the information every month when it comes. So we're going to get together on Zoom with people from around the world who feel the importance of joy. And we have a conversation, and then I lead you into a meditation. Today, Brian, you always ask me, is there going to be a theme for today's Joy Keepers? And I said, whatever the people bring. But today we are doing a special solstice one, so I can answer that. Today's going to be a special solstice cafe. So we'll do I lead you into a meditation, then we meditate for a little bit in silence, and we come back and share if we want to. Everybody is welcome to join that, and we would love to have you.
Yay! I love these things. I really, 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 really do. They just bring so much light into our world. And I'm putting the link in our chat so people can go join it. Another, I would say, beautiful way to begin the new year and to really bring it in with light and love. And this could be something that maybe becomes part of your own tradition in your life and in your family's life in years to come, is the 7 days of joy. Such a wonderful, another free online experience for people from January 1st through the 7th. Sheila, can you talk about what people are going to be experiencing over this week?
Yes. So for the first 7 days of January, every day at 11 a.m. Eastern time, we'll have an hour gathering for free to help celebrate joy, bring joy into our new year, and also weave it into the idea of oneness. Each day has its own topic, and you can see that at thejoykeepers.org. And look at the 7 days. And we have different people coming. I'll be doing a channeling meditation talk. Brian, you'll be there. Of course, Helena will be there. Eva Andrea is doing a writing workshop. Zach Hansen is doing something on the joy with the ancient father, and also a sacred breath exercise. So it's just fun. Everything will be recorded. So if you can't commit to it live every day, you can still begin the first 7 days of the year infused with joy.
And so
It's
how
got to
cool
help
is
the
this?
midwinter blues.
Yeah, I
What?
mean, how cool is this? This is, I mean, where else can you go for 7 days and get like a jolt of joy and rest and learning how to create some more intimate wholeness in your life uh, every day, and that you can go back and get more of it. So, I just highly recommend that everyone go visit the Joy Keepers website and reserve your free seat. Again, this is another free event at joykeepers.org/7 days. That's joykeepers.org/7 days. Wow, Sheila, this has been just another amazing show. We're like cooking with grease, as my grandmother would say. Thank you for your light and love.
Thank
Because
you,
this will
Brian.
this is our last show together of 2023 for you and I.
I know. But there's always 2024.
I know, right? So I'll see you next year. No, no. So thank you for that. And I, really appreciate you being here. Just want to remind people too that, listen, you can read all of our great articles and features at our website at soulivity.com. Sheila's got some great articles in here, including, one that I really love, which is like answering this one question could save the world. I love that article, so I'm like plugging it. We also have a great new exclusive interview with multi-talented writer and producer Dwayne Johnson Cochran, who produced the Paramount Plus and Showtime film Heist 88, starring the one and only Courtney Vance, who's just talk about talented. Heist 88 is the highest ranking Showtime original film of 2023. I think it's up to 2 million views across all of its platforms. So go check it out. Listen, we're coming up on time here. Just want to say thank you for joining us. And listen, we got more fun coming up on Soulivity today. So we'll see you next time. Bye for now.
This work is subject to copyright owned by Affinity Global LLC. Any reproduction or republication of all or part of this is expressly prohibited unless Affinity Global LLC has explicitly granted its prior written consent. All other rights reserved.